Damn, people are excited for a stream today, it seems like. How's it going? I think the audio on my microphone is not loud enough, actually. Let me fix that. Give me 1 second. One. How's that? That is still not enough. The fuck? I hate when my microphone does this. It's like it's super finicky on whether or not it wants to be too loud or like not loud enough. There we go. I have it at +2. That should be fine. God damn. Properties? Yeah, it's still the same microphone. Okay, well, anyways, my voice should be good and audible through the mic. God, I was experiencing some issues with clipping last time. I remember watching some of the clips or the clip that I made from last stream, and the mic audio was actually so loud that it was clipping. It was reaching into the red, but now it's at the same level, and I'm entirely within the yellow, and even getting down to the green. Usually, I want to be consistently high green and yellow territory, which I guess I am right now. Anyways, I'm here to do my thing, and that means to stream. I have things written down, stuff that I want to talk about. It should be interesting. I think I'm not gonna do the video react this time, but I will next time, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. See how that goes. A quick note, actually, I just uploaded my video about the blue states that did debt forgiveness. And I saw on Twitter just now, apparently that wasn't the those weren't the only places doing debt forgiveness. Again, for More Perfect Union, they said that Wayne County, that's the county where the city of Detroit is also doing debt forgiveness. They said, we're going to wipe out $700 million of medical debt for 300,000 residents. And wiping out $700 million of debt is only going to cost $5 million. That's like more than 100 times of like return on that, which is awesome. That's what I was talking about when I said that, like, it helps everybody for those debts to be cleared. Like, that's $700 million of bullshit weighing down Detroit and the county around it that didn't need to exist, that you could have gotten rid of for less than 1% of its, like, actual cost. Hello, welcome back. Globalize my agenda. Welcome, welcome. What is going on? You see the Russian Civil War 2.0? I did not see that. What? Huh? The fuck? I thought you were doing a funny, like, exaggerating, but no, this is real. Russian rebels plan to topple Putin. Guns, grenades, and armored vehicles. Okay. Alright. The pro-Ukraine Russian rebel formations fighting their way across the shared border between the two warring nations want the ongoing operation to spark an uprising against President Vladimir Putin, one volunteer said. The Freedom of Russia Legion, Siberian Battalion, and Russian Volunteer Corps, all volunteer paramilitaries operating under the umbrella of the Ukrainian military, on Tuesday launched a two-pronged incursion into Russia's Belgorod and Kursk regions. No fucking way! They're doing the Russia thing to Russia. This is exactly what Russia did to Ukraine. They supported pro-Russia rebels in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. Old news? No, March 13th. That's today. I know Ukraine had like there were a couple pro-Ukraine groups that did some limited strikes and raids on the Russian side of things. This seems like a lot bigger. Like a lot bigger. The goal is the ensuing liberation of Russia from Putin. We may not be able to pull it off now, but that is our overarching mission, according to Alexei Baranovsky, a volunteer from the Freedom of Russia Legion. The latest cross-border assaults come as Putin prepares for this weekend's presidential election, a carefully managed contest he is sure to win. The vote will also be held in the areas of Ukraine occupied by Moscow's forces in their full-scale invasion since February 22. Baranovsky said the rebel operation has been timed intentionally. They did the same thing a while ago. They just said they would come back, and now they're back. Yeah, I guess they are. Wow, I guess they're back. Yeah. He told civilians to leave Kursk and Belgorod because of their attack. Yeah, that's smart. Especially from a perspective of getting public support, right? I think this is a very smart thing to do on the rebel side of things, because Russian support for the special military operation, as they like to call it, is at its lowest since the start of the war, right? And they're trying to play to that. What is going on? Oh, this is mirror mode. I see. I'm dumb. I'm very dumb. I don't... I barely know this track normally. I'm gonna be even worse on mirror mode. Ow. Alright. Well, that simplifies things. At least makes it footage from their attack. I was gonna check... I'm not gonna show that footage. I hope you understand. Footage of war tends to be very easily TOS fuel. I think instead what I will do, most likely, is I wanted to look at the Live UA map page. Live UA map is the website that tracks, like, Russian and Ukrainian frontline operations, as well as, like, other active conflicts and stuff. I think that would be good for seeing what's going on here. So that would definitely be recorded. No, fucking dead. Nothing NSFW or fighting that you can see. Okay, you can only hear a few gunshots and a tank. All right. So then I have your assurance that it's fine, and Twitch will not BTFO me for showing this, or for watching it at least. Don't know if I'll be able to show it. But, yeah. Oh, okay. How is that guy up there already? What the fuck? This guy probably knows this track like the back of his hand. God damn. Ow. Okay. Alright, let's try this again. Whew. Not sure about the rules on Twitch. Twitch, yeah, that's, I mean, I'm not really sure about it either. That's why I wanted to err on the side of being really careful. Well, look, if it's just the sound of gunfire and then, like, footage of a tank rolling through, that's fine. I don't think there's anything that would violate terms of service there. If you don't see anybody get hurt, or you don't see anything that could be, like, brandishing a weapon or whatever, then it should be fine. Twitch tends to not like it when you, like, brandish a gun or whatever. No! Almost. You didn't see blood or anything? I think you can show missiles getting fired. I think this should be fine. Well, news reports is a different... that's a different thing entirely. News outlets are syndicated, and they have, like, a lot of institutional deference behind them, and they also have legal experts that are much more familiar with the details of the rules than just your average Twitch streamer. So that, like, there's stuff going on there that makes it so that news outlets can show stuff that I can't necessarily. You can't see anything bad in the TikTok. Oh, TikTok, and I might not show it. Yeah. I mean, TikTok is like a disinformation hellscape. Let's just look. I'm just going to look at live UA map. Live UA. What's going on here? Ah, now we have some bordering regions in Russia actually highlighted in red. Look at that. Got Kursk Oblast, Bryansk Oblast, Belgorod Oblast, Voronezh Oblast, Rostov Oblast, Rostov-on-Don. That's a city in the oblast, excuse me. Well, no problem with the TikTok. Hopefully not. At that point, it's not Twitch having an issue with the TikTok, but rather me having an issue with showing TikTok content on stream. I tend to be really skeptical of TikTok, even though I'm not as skeptical of it as the U.S. Congress. I could just say what it shows, what you want, if you want to be careful. Yeah, sure. Just say what all is going on in the TikTok. That'll probably be fine. Because you said there were some tanks rolling through, and like some sounds of gunfire and stuff. No, I didn't mean to do that. You can hear a shit ton of gunshots, but not really any military personnel. Okay. They don't show any armies, just some blurry vids of looking out windows. Alright. Yeah. In that case, then it's like it's one of those things where it's like I almost don't know what to comment on when they're showing that. I think I'd have an easier time commenting on the live UA map. Cuts to a tank rolling by with an EU flag on it. Okay, that's interesting then. Yeah, okay, so it seems like the rebels at least have some equipment to their name. And are committed to like, well, trying to tip the balance of power in favor of Ukraine, or at the very least against Vladimir Putin. They have at least 6 tanks. Yeah, that's not nothing. You know, we'll see what becomes of it, but, you know, obviously fingers crossed for our boys in Ukraine, right? You know, invading armies, that shit's pretty bad. But, you know, when people are fighting against a tyrannical government, that's usually pretty good. They're way up there. I don't think that red shell did very much. Okay, that's how you're supposed to do that. Ow. Probably because of Russian elections coming up to make Putin less popular. Yeah, I mean, that's what the Newsweek article said, and that's what the guy said who was part of that insurgent group. He said, yeah, we're doing this now because the election's coming up, and that's like a good opportunity for people to be really dissatisfied with Putin. Because we all know the election's rigged. Everybody knows that the election's rigged, and Putin's just going to be like, oh, wow, look at that. I won with 70% of the vote or whatever, right? He's just going to do that anyways. So then, like, you might as well start armed resistance now because, like, you know, we don't like Putin. I mean, obviously, on one level too, I'm a little bit skeptical of the objectives within Russia that these guys have. Like, obviously, it's good that they're against Putin, but it's also possible that they are like part of the Russian far right, which is even crazier than Putin. Well, look, if it gets Russia off of Ukraine's back, I think that's good in the long run because it would enable Ukraine to sort of not be in a wartime economy, and then, like, you know, the sooner peace comes, then that's good, and, like, Ukraine can actually develop, then you have a strong democratic country in the region with a strong economy, and that, like, that makes life better for a lot of people. You see the Russian plane just crashed because its engine fell out. No, but, you know, airlines are that kind of industry. Shit does, in fact, happen. What's going on here? Targeted FSB HQ in Belgium. Wow, that's kind of crazy. A military plane. Oh. Wow, that's even worse. Down here. Russian air defense shot down some drones. 14 pilots died. That sucks for them. But, you know, if that was a plane that Russia was going to use against Ukraine, I guess all the better that they didn't get to use it to kill dozens of, you know, Ukrainian civilians, right? Russia says it's because of a bird? That wouldn't surprise me too much. There have been instances in the past of birds being the cause of plane crashes. Hell, an entire line of airplanes had to be retired because of repeated incidents where birds would cause crashes, like plane crashes. There was, I don't know, depending on how old you are, you might not have even been alive for this, but there used to be a model of airplane called the Concorde. It was a supersonic passenger jet that would be able to make transatlantic flights in like 4 hours. It was a very fast plane. You know, but there were a couple times where, before my time probably, yeah, I mean, when I was I think I was only like 3 years old when they were retired, and that was when I was like super turbo autistically interested in airplanes at the age of 3 years old. But what with these airplanes, the problem with these airplanes was that they, like, I think they kept running into birds for some reason right on takeoff. There were some repeated incidents where, like, birds would get grinded through the engine or something. Because they were, like, going so fast right after takeoff. It was something like that. And as a result, they decided, like, okay, these things aren't commercially viable. They're not viable as a method of, like, mass transit and stuff, especially not, like, casually. So they retired that line of airplanes. But, you know, for a brief while, for about 10 to 20 years, there was a supersonic passenger plane. Like, would go the speed of sound. So I imagine with that military jet, it's possible that, you know, obviously Russian manufacturing standards aren't as high because, you know, it's a lot less wealthy of a country. There's, you know, some more corners that they have to shave there, such is the case with a lot of countries. And then also, like, it's not unheard of for a bird to get caught in a plane engine for that to be the cause of a crash. You know, planes aren't indestructible, even the military planes that are designed to be like Flying Fortress or whatever. So, you know, that's probably what happened. Maybe they were flying low. Something like that. It just reminded me of the Concorde. It was a Boeing. It was a Boeing plane. That's what it was. Yep. All right. We go this way. Haha. Nice. If you look at the live UA map, you should look at the Russian one because it has more info. Oh, really? Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, I was looking at the Ukraine live UA map. After this race, I'll take a gander at the Russian live UA map, see what that has in store. Oh, okay. I wonder if that's actually Yoshiller. I remember Yoshiller was a, I think he's a YouTuber. Hmm. Very true. Alright. Harley B? What's up? I hope I get a box. Yeah, here we go. Oh, shit. All right, nice. Whew. I raced that pretty well. I tend to do not as well on Calamari Desert because that track is wild. Some info isn't there anymore, sadly. In fact, they made it illegal to film military in that region, probably to stop fear among the citizens from spreading. Yeah, I can imagine. Let's see. Live UA map, Russia. Let's see what's going on there. Russia.liveuamap.com. Sure. No, it's got the same amount of info as the Ukraine one. Yeah, no, these both... Actually, the Ukraine live UA map has just as much info, if not more. Right? Oh, no, wait. There were a lot more icons on the Russian one. Hold on. Let me see this. Yeah, okay. There aren't any, like, highlighted regions or anything, but a lot of stuff here. They updated it, maybe? They might have. They might have. Hmm. Oh, it actually seems to be about the same amount of things on the Russian side of the border. Sorry, that's almost prevented me from being able to get back to the race here, but all right, we're good. We're good. Oh, dude, Yoshiller's on Yoshi now. Let's fucking go. You heard me talking about if he was the YouTuber or something? Maybe he's stream sniping? Who knows? I got somebody. Okay. Is there a ghost over Lithuania? Some random guy in Russian military fatigues like dropped dead in Lithuania, probably. And they were like, oh my god, Russian man dies in Lithuania. Like, had a heart attack or something. I don't fucking know. I'm just making stuff up, but I'd like... I genuinely, like, would have a hard time imagining what that was. Navalny's friend got attacked? Ripped him. Yeah, I mean, look, I think I've mentioned before that, like, Navalny ran in some really fucking questionable circles, but, like, it's without a doubt Putin is just, like, going sicko mode on any and all political opponents. That's what he's doing. Which is not good. You know, even when your political opponents are like, if your political opponents are actual Nazis, you don't want to attack them physically, because that just makes martyrs out of them and whatever. And especially you don't want to do that if your political opponents aren't Nazis. You know? Usually, like, I mean, obviously, if they're like to the left or like more pro-democracy than Putin, then fucking don't attack them at all, because like, the fuck, you know, I guess that's just kind of what authoritarian governments do, but like, even still. But then even if you were to make the argument like, oh, you know, sometimes you have to have some recourse against political opponents if they are like that bad, that's not how you do that. That's that you don't like fucking hire a hit squad. No, what you do is try to denounce them and the ideas that they represent to make them unpopular, because this is politics. Yeah, Ukraine has just launched a special military operation to denazify Russia. True. Russia does need some good denazifying. Every country needs a good denazifying, you know, when you think about it. Fucked up that there are, like, that literally one of the worst case scenarios played out with respect to fascist and Nazi ideology in the 1930s and 40s. And the world, like, not only didn't learn from it, but refused to learn from it. Like, the whole banality of evil thing is a lesson that we have to take in lieu of like, what the world didn't do. Right? Like, at the Nuremberg trials, they had some psychologists analyze the Nazi... some of these Nazi bureaucrats and scientists and whatever who didn't flee Germany and whatever. You know, they did the whole Nuremberg defense thing. Oh, I was following orders and whatever. But for one of the guys, they did this psychological profile, right? They had these psychiatrists analyze him and you know, all these shrinks analyze him and whatnot. It's like, what is this guy thinking? What's inside this guy's head? There's actually footage of FSB headquarters getting hit. Yeah, I saw that little thing. But all of the psychologists or the doctors came back who were analyzing this guy, this Nazi official, very high-ranking Nazi official. And they were like, this guy's like completely normal. Like, yeah, he took part in one of the most horrifying things that you could imagine, but his life is about as normal as you could imagine. Like, he wasn't super directly involved in a lot of this stuff, but he was, you know, kind of going along with it because it's like, well, you know, you go along to get along, and you know, it was just sort of him being like, well, you gotta do what you gotta do, and that made him willing to, I don't know, to a certain degree, be complicit in Nazi war crimes. Because there was like it was almost like there was a degree of abstraction that made him able to rationalize that, like, oh, you know, I'm not a bad guy for doing this, right? Let me use this here. Be able to skip the long airtime. Oh, baby. That was a great use of the bullet bill. Oh, did that make them fall off? Wow. Huh. Okay. Another one, I guess. What's up? You might not know that shortcut. Saying Ukraine will liberate and democratize Russia from the oil fields, the true old-fashioned American way. Yeah, that's true. Or that they should. Yeah. I think I've talked a little bit before about how Russia is kind of, like, Russian politics is kind of cooked until things materially stabilize there. Like, if the objective is to get Russia to... to become more transparent and more democratic and more open for the rest of the world has to be more open to it. In terms of, like, normalizing relations. Not in terms of, like, just letting them do whatever the fuck to neighboring countries, right? But in terms of, like, you know, trying to invest and rebuild, kind of like the Marshall Plan after World War II, right? I mean, I've talked about this before. I've talked about how the shock doctrine really fucked Russia from the get-go after the Soviet Union collapsed. You know, the West really didn't help in that instance. And that sort of set Russia down a path where, like, eventually something like this would have happened regardless, in the sense of, like, Putin being all authoritarian, strongman dictator sort of stuff. That was gonna happen, like, because of all the economic instability that the West sort of subjected Russia to after the fact. And it was only for a few years that like, this project took place. It wasn't very long. You know, there would need to be a conscious rebuilding effort, but countries aren't really willing to engage in that kind of talk or action. Basically, we need to do the Belt and Road Initiative, but to Russia specifically, so that not only will their business people like us, but also they will be the Russia of the future. Everybody will be saying "bliet," but through those awesome futuristic, like, shutter shade glasses and wearing really funky, garish disco outfits, and everybody has, like, a flying car or whatever. Yeah, that's true. And when things materially stabilize, that opens people up to be thinking about more progressive issues instead of being more concerned with day-to-day survival. This is a trend that's generally present among nation-state politics. You know? Like with Iran. Take Iran, for example. Iran's government is bad. We can all acknowledge this, right? We can all recognize this. But Iran is actually a pretty progressive country on balance if you look at their population, right? They have relatively progressive values because Iran is a very well-developed country. You know, they're a lot more wealthy on average than I think Russia is. Or like the median wealth or whatever, median income in Iran is a lot higher. Like development indexes and whatever would be a lot higher there. You know, and educational attainment as well. Iran has a lot of very educated people in there, and Russia, on the other hand, suffers from, like, one of the worst brain drain problems in any of the, like, more powerful countries, you know. So in Iran, you get these, like, very pro-democratic, like, Islamic Republic movements. People being like, we want democracy, we want progressive values, we want social change, we want more acceptance and tolerance of different kinds of groups of people. But in Russia, you don't get that as much because things aren't stable enough in Russia for that sentiment to really show up. Not on a genuine level anyways. Like, it's very difficult for any movements like that to come up in a country that's unstable like Russia. I'm not saying that VSD did it, but I'm not denying it. Very true. Actually, if I'm remembering right, I think it was like what is now the World Economic Forum or whatever that was like responsible for all the or not the World Economic Forum, but just various like policy think tanks and billionaires from like the EU that were responsible for the stuff that happened in Russia after the collapse of the Soviets. It's controlled by the VSE? Yes, of course, naturally. Ooh, first place. Wow. Damn, I'm driving pretty good today. Yay. Just kind of farming VR right now. All the top leaders are descended from Lithuanians. That's true. I mean, you yourself said like the whole world belongs to Lithuania, right? So every top leader is a Lithuanian, not just descended from. Anywho. Queen Elizabeth II was a 20th generation descendant of Gediminas. Huh. Well, everybody's related to somebody. You go back far enough, but that's cool. Because I'm like it all goes back to Lithuania. How many generations is it since the year like 600? That would be okay. It's about 1400 years. So that's like what? If we assume each generation's like fucking no. 40, 30 or 40 years into 1400. My brain can't do that super quick. Ugh, quick mess. I can't do it. Wait, okay, hold on. If we assume a generation's about 40 years, right? Let's do this. 40 times 5 is 200. 200 times 7. So that's 35 generations, thereabout. Yeah. I think. So I'd be like a 30 or 40th generation descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. They even have a word for it, like shutfa. 50 generations? Okay. Oh, did you look it up? That would actually be super helpful. So yeah, I'd be 50 generation descended from the Prophet Muhammad. How many generations? Okay, yeah. You can count in this site. Very cool. Gotcha. Okay, so far so good. Alright, nice. Another first place. Anyways, you you mentioned TikTok earlier because that's where some of that footage was. I wanted to mention TikTok, but for a different reason, and that's because the U.S. Congress is fucking insane when it comes to TikTok. They all become like racist against China whenever anything happens related to TikTok. Like every now and again, there will be this discourse about like, oh my god, TikTok does data scraping, and they sell the data to. They'll say they sell the data to China, but what they really mean is they sell the data after they data scrape to a large list of buyers, right? Which is how internet data stuff works. And on that list of buyers will be some people affiliated with China or the Communist Party of China or like whatever, right? Eventually that data does get in the hands of China, just like that data also gets in the hands of the CIA and the American government and like basically any company that is in the market for purchasing data from data scraping businesses. You know, in that respect, TikTok is not unique. Every other social media site does this. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, owned by Facebook, of course. Google also does this. Apple. They all sell to a big list of buyers, and across all of them are people who have some connections to other countries, and so they're like inevitably this happens, right? But they only ever target TikTok for it because TikTok is owned by, I think, ByteDance. It's like it's either they're like owned by a Chinese company or like they're owned by a company that has some ties to a Chinese company. Or even if like none of that's true, it's just because like there's the association of the company that like made TikTok originally was like a Chinese company or something like that. So ultimately, it's just a very virtue signally way that Congress can be like, oh, haha, see, we're being tough on China. See, we want to ban TikTok. Even though TikTok is so integrated into the social media landscape that it would be entirely infeasible to ban it. Got him. But Congress started talking about TikTok again. They were like, oh, we want to ban TikTok. They're saying this again. And there was even a bill that got voted on, I think, that I was like, oh, we're gonna, I don't know, suspend the rules to pass this bill, and this bill is like we should ban TikTok bill, or something like that. I don't think they're actually going to do it. Like I said, it's too integrated in the social media world for them to actually ban TikTok, and they don't actually care because a lot of that TikTok money that stays around in America too. A lot of those are American investors that are swimming in that sweet TikTok money. So they're not actually gonna. They just love being racist against China or like xenophobic or whatever kind of ism, a lot of the times it's not even that they necessarily have a problem ethically with anything that the Chinese government is doing or anything that they allege the Chinese government is doing, because either the US does the same thing or these are politicians that would love to do the same thing given the opportunity. A lot of it's just disingenuous. It's like the most political theater kind of thing that you'll see out of Congress, aside from when they talk about the debt ceiling, because they're never actually going to default on the US's national debt. So in case anybody hears about like the Congress saying, oh, we're going to ban TikTok, we're going to prevent China from doing blah 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 by banning TikTok and all that stuff, they don't actually mean it. It's all theater. It's all bullshit. And, you know, that goes for the debt ceiling, too. They don't mean any of it. It's all a load of crap. What's the global issue today? Hey, what's up, Gengar829? Today, the global issue is, it seems the U.S. government is talking about banning TikTok again, and I was explaining why they're not actually going to do it, and why it's all, like, some political theater stuff. There are a couple other things going on as well, but that was the big one that I saw that, like, oh, wow. Like, oh, they're talking about banning TikTok again. How original. They're definitely gonna do it this time, right, guys? Very silly things going on in Congress. I feel like if they did ban it, all the dumb trends are gonna flee to Instagram. Yeah, because it's like TikTok isn't that unique in really anything about it. It's just there's the perception that, like, oh, TikTok is Chinese social media, so then they all go like insane talking about it when they're in when Congress is in session and stuff. You know, it's too integrated into the social media landscape, and it doesn't do anything that any other social media app doesn't also do. You know, like all the stuff that TikTok does that a lot of like Republicans especially, but you know, Democrats too, will like fearmonger about. That's all stuff that Facebook and Twitter and Google and Apple and Microsoft also do. Like the data scraping, the selling stuff to China, all the other social media companies do that as well. Except, you know, it's not like selling directly to China, not even in TikTok's case. It's just there's a bunch of buyers, and some of those buyers eventually end up you know, eventually some of the information gets from those buyers to like the Chinese government or whatever. There's a global information economy, and China is part of it, and that's like kind of inevitable. You know? And, you know, notwithstanding that, TikTok is too integrated into the world of social media for banning it to really be effective. You know? Because it's part of the American social media landscape that's going to cost money from American businesses, too. You know? Hopefully USA bans it. I mean, look. I don't think it actually makes any difference, is what I'm trying to communicate here. It's a moot point, and they don't actually... Less stupid Americans talking shit, more Russian bots. Honestly, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, ban TikTok. Why not? There's no consequence anyways. Fucking... I don't know. Some business people get upsetty spaghetti, but like, I don't know. Both are equally annoying, but whatever. Yeah. It's just such a nothing talking point from politicians, right? I compared it to like talking about the debt ceiling and stuff like that. You know, whenever that discourse all gets started again. This chat has been sponsored by NordVPN. Fuck, that's true. You know, it's one of those things that like both parties love to talk about the national debt and the national deficit, and it never goes anywhere because it can't go anywhere. Like, what happens, like, oh, surprise, the US has banned TikTok, okay? They've made a bunch of, like, wealthy business people's lives more difficult for no gain or loss, ultimately, on anybody's part. Like, they haven't made anybody's life better or easier. Like, there's no reason, really, to ban TikTok unless you also ban every other social media app, which, even though social media is toxic as fuck, would be a disaster. Not joking when I say I haven't heard someone talk about Connecticut for 10 months now. Really? Well, I talked about them. I think I talked about Connecticut very briefly last stream. So Connecticut doesn't exist. That's true. I mean, I've never been there. Do we actually know that Connecticut is a real place? Do we have any confirmation of this? Yeah. It's in the 6th dimension. That's true. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this room, try to find another one. Oh, and that actually reminds me of something else I wanted to mention. I get so frustrated whenever people talk about like the national debt and whatever, because it's always like it's stuff that sounds like politics but isn't, right? Like whenever people talk about, oh, in inflation, gas prices especially, and then like uh the national debt and the national deficit and whatever, these are pretend politics. These are not actual subjects of debate. For one, gas prices are not something that the federal government has like a direct degree of influence over. They have indirect influence, such as the case with every consumer good. But then the discourse should not be focused on gas prices specifically. It should be on the stuff that drives like how high prices are, right? And then with the national deficit and the national debt, people seem to be under this delusion that, number one, there's any way to fix it. No, there isn't. And it's also not a problem because the US has an enormous amount of leverage as a result of the debt that we owe to other countries. To fix that, quote unquote, to pay back that debt would actually be to fundamentally deprive the US of all the economic leverage that we have. It's a terrible idea. But then number two, people act like the debt is something that should be paid back on a moral grounds because it's like, oh, we owe other people a lot of money. No, we don't. Who the fuck do you think the U.S. owes that money to? Like yeah, sure, there are foreign businesses and whatever, but that's just part of the debt economy. Everybody owes money to everybody. That's how the debt economy works. Every big giant company that like regular people are indebted to, that big giant company is indebted to 37 other big giant companies, and they're all indebted to a bunch of other big giant companies and also each other. That's how economies work when you have like fiat money. Joe Biden owes me $5. He owes you more than $5. That's what I was about to get to. The principal party that the government owes the national debt to is itself. It's the public. The U.S. government, yeah, it owes foreign companies, it owes foreign countries a lot of money in that debt. It also owes us, the American people, a lot of that money. And if you like talking about the national debt as it like, oh, oh, we have to cut spending, because that's one of the talking points I hear so frequently that's so frustrating. That actually makes the national debt worse, not better, because the national debt is caused by a lack of public infrastructure funding. Public infrastructure doesn't just need to be built, it needs to be maintained. And when you've built public infrastructure that you then cut funding from, that's public infrastructure that you still have to maintain. Otherwise, it falls into decay. And if it falls into the decay, that means you're going to be backlogged on maintaining it. So you still have to spend more and more money on it. That means you go into debt because you're not willing to pay up for the infrastructure that you built for the benefit of the public. Long story short, when people say, oh, the national debt is so big, we have to cut spending in order to fix it, that is a recipe for only ever making the national debt worse. The way we get out of the national debt is by spending a shit ton of money on stuff that will pay off in the future. I'm not joking. Spending money on education, on healthcare as public projects to make people's lives better, results in people having more money, results in more tax revenue coming in, and it results in those discrepancies from the lack of infrastructure funding being cleared from the books. Government also wants you to believe that tax fraud is illegal to pay off their debts. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, and like it's counterintuitive. So I can't 100% fault people. Remove the IRS for some time and see what happens. Oh, buddy, you do not want the IRS gone. Trust me. You want the IRS to have $1 million billion fucking dollars is what you want. The reason the IRS has put out reports to some of this. And I've read some of these reports. The reason the IRS so frequently audits poor people is because that's all that they have the money to do. The government stops giving them money, and as a result, they can't audit rich people anymore. The IRS has been put in front of Congress, and they have said, believe me, we would love to go after some of these rich fucks because they're committing fraud in the light of day. But you know how many fucking lawyers they have? They have 1 billion lawyers, and we don't have enough money because the government doesn't give us enough money to do these investigations. If the IRS had money, you think they'd be going after Joe Schmo? Like, no, they got bigger fish to fry. The problem is they don't have enough money to fry them because the government's like, yeah, the IRS is bad. The fucking thing that gives us any money at all by collecting revenue is bad because, like, well, paradoxically, because it gives us that money. Like, Republicans really don't want rich people to pay taxes. One of the biggest misconceptions about the IRS is that, like, oh, they only tax poor people because they hate poor people. No, they tax poor. They go after poor people a ton. First of all, because the tax bracket is backwards as fuck, and second of all, because they don't have the money to pursue rich people because the government stops giving them fucking money. Only suckers pay their taxes. Yeah, that's pretty true, honestly. Imagine having taxes to pay. Legit. Again, it's kind of conceptually and, like, abstractly frustrating because I can't blame people for not understanding such a complex thing as, like, American budgetary economics or whatever, right? It's a complicated subject, but there are certain misconceptions that people keep, like, going back to that only ever put the US deeper and deeper in the hole, and that will eventually cause us to become the fucking dying country that Britain is now if we don't get our shit together and, number one, fund the IRS, and number two, spend a million fucking billion dollars on public infrastructure projects like education, rail, and healthcare. Oh, damn, he got me from the side? Wow. Imagine paying tax for a $2 drink. My European ass could never. Actually, you could, and you do. Sales tax is also a thing in Europe. The difference is they include it in the price. The sales tax is part of that $2. In the United States, it's $2, and then they show you, and then you have this much tax afterwards. Whereas in Europe, if a drink is $2, the $2 includes that tax. You are getting taxed for that drink. It's just way easier for you because, like, European tax systems aren't stupid. Or they're not as stupid as in America. Plus we have to pay extra 10 cents. Do you? That's like a 5% on a $2 drink. That'd be what, 5% sales tax? That's pretty typical. Yeah, sales taxes in the United States tend to be pretty low percent for recycling and shit. Yeah, in the United States, we don't pay like a recycling fee or whatever. In fact, we don't greenwash our taxes very much in America. We don't, like, put that aesthetic on it. Oh, you can have a 70-cent drink and still pay that much? That's a pretty high sales tax then. Yeah. Unless it's flat, in which case that's stupid. Flat taxes are dumb as fuck. For pretty self-evident reasons. I could get 10 euros from all the monster cans in my room. Damn, you should do that. That easy 10 euros, bro. It's not a sales tax. Is it a recycling fee? Oh, you get the money back. Oh, okay. I gotcha. I gotcha. Oh, yeah. It's like that money that's like, oh, yeah, we'll pay you this to incentivize you to recycle stuff. I like that. Because in the US, it's all fucking punitive, right? I was just about to explain that, like, in the US, our environmental economics are, like, a little bit different. Whenever you go to the store, right? Usually my dad and I, we have our own, like, reusable grocery bags and stuff, which is what we use nowadays. But you can still, like, use plastic grocery bags when you go to the store. The problem is the store charges, like, 5 or 10 cents per bag that you use. So it's like, oh, how many of the store's bags did you use? And it'll be like, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Then you have to pay, like, anywhere from 5 to 20 cents or whatever based on the bags that you use. And that's just stores, like, offloading that cost to people shopping there, which is dumb as fuck. You know? But, I mean, it did have the effect of making people, like, want to use reusable bags more. But what they really should have done is, like, they really should have made it so that you, like, get money back for using the reusable bags. Because it's not like the food companies and, like, grocery companies are going to have any fucking trouble making a profit anyways, right? I've seen plastic bags for like 16 cents here. Jesus, that's expensive. Ow. We have them for 1 cent, those bastards. Yeah. We have to pay for our plastic bags now. Yeah, that seems to be a thing. Like, those assholes insane us. It's really fucking regrettable, honestly, that, like, the way that they did a admittedly good, like, environmental change, like causing people to use less plastic bags and use more reusable bags and whatnot, is that they, like, punished consumers for it, because, like, that just makes other problems worse. Like, you couldn't do it in a better way. There were a bunch of better ways to do it. Like, damn. Imagine having to pay 1 cent per plastic bag. Yeah, true. This post made by the people who have to pay 5 cents per plastic bag. Or 10 cents. Of course, it, like, 1 cent versus 5 cents versus 10 cents. A little bit different when I'm talking about it versus when you guys are talking about it, but not by much. Ah! Oh, no. I thought I'm just super crafty and got first, but I got second. What a snipe. What a triumph is that? Turkflation. That's so true. 1 billion inflation per second. Average turkey moment. And then somehow they're still like a fucking economic powerhouse in the Middle East. Because their positioning is just that good. Middle East, that's why, yeah. You know someone is Turkish when they live in Berlin? Yeah, the fucking meme about a bunch of Turkish people living in Germany. That fucking, that meme about that Greek versus Turk debate. Those guys being racist to each other. One of them's Greek and the other one's Turkish. People in the comments are like, fucking, they're both just in their apartments in Germany. Like they like don't even live in the country that they identify with, which is funny as fuck. Color Wonderland, and it's not mirror mode, which means I will probably do okay, because I know this track. I'm gonna go wide here. Yeah. Damn. I didn't even need to use my green shell for that. The reds stalk you? That's so true. What? How did that happen? That was my green shell. It just came forward and hit me. We had Japanese students in class day. We also got to play soccer with them at recess. Oh, that's awesome. That triple reds? It is. Alright, yep. You can go ahead. I want no part of that. Thank you. That's how you do that. You're in Russian class, and surprisingly, they spoke a few words in Russian too. Yeah, there's a little bit of overlap there. Like, you know, some people live like in the north of Japan, so real close to Russian areas. Yeah, the land under Finland. That's true. I don't know if that's actually faster, but it is cool, so I do it. I did that because I just didn't want anybody to have my mushroom. No other reason, really. Really, goofy section, but I managed to get away with that. Alright. But people there are a little slow. I remember in college I had a crush on one of the Japanese TAs. She was actually from Japan. I think she was I forget if she was like a grad student or if she was just she might have been a grad student who's acting as a TA for some of the Japanese classes. She was there with a couple of friends of hers, also from Japan. And they would hang out at the Japan house every now and again. There was like a dorm themed around Japanese stuff. I mean, it ended up just being the Weeb house, which I also lived in. But you know, they'd hang out sometimes. It was actually a lot of fun. Yeah, I got to see and play some games that I would not have otherwise. Some like not as well known stuff. At least not to me, because I still just mostly played AAA things at the time. But I did watch anime, so. And I think that's when a friend of mine introduced me to like. Oh, I forget what the game was called. There was one other game, but Lethal League was one of them. We played a lot of Puyo and Tetris as well. Depends on my Russian class, but I don't speak a word of the language. That's fine. I don't speak Russian either. Ah, this track. No. Lame. Somebody hit that. Yeah, I got him. Funny 10th place banana snipe. I messed that part up. Ow. The fuck? Okay, we're good. We're good. Alright. We're alright. Give me that. Thank you. Ooh. Don't mind if I do. Oh no, poor bastard. Jordan. I recognize that guy. No! Also, Jordan, no offense, but your me kind of looks like Tim Pool. I'm sorry for ringing it. I'm sorry for insulting you like that, but you know, I had to point it out because I noticed it. I like can't unsee it now that I've seen it. Your English and Lithuanian marks are worse than Russian? That's bizarre, because you speak English pretty good. How did I... Okay. Ow. Yeah, the teacher does matter a lot. Okay, there we go. Finally got the trick. Whoa! Okay, okay, okay. I've never had that happen before. I need an item here. Really bad. Okay. Ow. Damn. No. I'm sorry, I capitalized Lithuanian, not English or Russian. Showed dominance and definitely didn't make a spelling mistake. It's fine. Our Russian teacher just straight gives answers before tests. She doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. Teacher does matter a lot. I'm trying to think if I have... Why does America have such a trash grading system? Because we have such a trash education system. What the fuck is A to F? It's A, B, C, D, E, F. It's like letter grade. Earlier letter in the alphabet means better. We also get percentages, but then there's like a symbolic letter next to it. Use 1 to 10 like normal people? No. I mean, mostly the grades that actually matter, the most consistent grading system is one of percentages. 90 something percent, 80 something percent, right? And then the alphabet letters correspond roughly to those percentage numbers. It's an old convention. This is even more consistent. Yeah, I mean, sure, but... Yeah. Look, if you think of the American grading system as anywhere from 0 to 100%, and then obviously higher percent is better, then it's way less confusing if you think about it as A to F. Calculate the average of your results, and that's how you get your grade. Yeah, it's the same in the American systems, but some assignments are weighted. There's like, oh, this assignment is like more important than this other assignment, so we give it more importance here. It's a whole thing. That's part of learning how to become a teacher in America. You have to learn how the grade curve works. Like, okay, it's not super complicated as far as mathematics goes, but like, you know, not the most simple thing. Because, you know, teaching isn't exactly a simple profession. There's a lot of implications. Yeah. At least I don't get stuck with the thundercloud. That's convenient. A bunch of people got mushrooms. And I somehow hit the wrong part of that mushroom. Right. Didn't get the boost. Lame. Alright, in 4th place. God damn it. I was gonna say, there's a slim chance I make this comeback. I just have to race the next 2 laps, basically, without any major mistakes. Basically, I can't fall off, is what I'm getting at. And I think if I mess up the wall trick as well, my chances of coming back are basically nothing. So, that's something. A decent place. Oh. How do you calculate the final grade in an American grading system? Well, you have, basically you have all the other assignments that you've done, right? You have your grades on all of those, and then you have the... Is Greek Steve here? No, I don't think he is, unfortunately. You have all your other assignments throughout the semester or trimester or year or however long the grading period is, right? And then you basically... How do you do this? So, there's like a point total, and you sort of take the weighted numbers that all those grades mean, you average that, which includes the final exam, now that you've done that too. Right? So if it's like... If there's just a perfectly not weighted grade curve, it would just be as simple as adding up all the percentages that you got, and then dividing that by the number, and then averaging it, divided by the number of assignments. And then that's your grade. But for stuff where it's like, oh, this is worth 5% of the whole thing, this is worth 20% of the whole thing, this is worth 15% of the whole thing, and whatever, then you have to factor in, like, weighted stuff. But at the end of the day, it's about, like... How you calculate the grade is ultimately just averaging all the other grades that you got through the semester. Actually, have the final grade of the subject. Yeah, that's for an unweighted system. But in America, we have a weighted system where it's like, oh yeah, this is just a normal homework assignment, so it's not worth that much. But this is like a big essay or a paper or whatever, so this is worth more. Like, it's more important if you get a good grade on this than it is if you get a good grade on your homework, right? Because the homework is where you have, like, some leeway to mess up, and that's where it's, like, a learning opportunity and whatever. And nowadays, what I see people doing sometimes as well, some professors of mine did this, they wouldn't even necessarily grade homework assignments for correctness, especially considering, like, in some classes, it's kind of hard to say who's more correct. They would just grade it for completion. So, like, oh, if you did the homework, that's fine. And you get the perfect grade because you at least did it. And then what really matters is the paper and the reading assignments and, like, the exams. We have 10, 9, 6, 10 for your marks. It will be a 9. Yeah, it's kind of like that in the US as well. But let's say, if you have 10, 9, 6, and 10, but all of the other ones were small assignments and that 6 was like a big assignment, then that would hurt your grade a little bit more, right? Because it's like, ooh, where it really counted, you kind of fell short, right? There are some problems with that grading model, but it's like, I think it's good to give more social weight to certain things that are, like, more important. It's like, oh, well, it's more important that you're actually learning than it is if you're just getting every answer right. Because that doesn't tell me much about, like, whether or not you can actually do the thinking necessary, right? So, like, you could have the 10 weighted for 10%, the 9 weighted for 20%, the 6 weighted for 30%, and then the last 10 weighted for 40%. And it would be fundamentally be like adding, instead of 10, 9, 6, and 10, it'd be like adding 10, 18, 18, and 40. And then you average that. You divide that by it's either you divide it by, like, the number of assignments or by the total point number that you could have gotten, right? And then that's your final grade. So if we just assume that that's 100%, 90%, 60%, 10%, or not 10%, 100%, Lithuania is superior. Hey, buddy, look, just because you don't understand the American grading system doesn't mean it's not a well-thought-out system. It isn't a well-thought-out system, but just because, not because of that. Way less complicated. I think the fact that a grading system is less complicated actually makes it worse. right? Because if something is more complicated to write down, that usually means it's more of a social value. It's just simpler and fairer. I disagree. I think if you have a flat curve like what you just described, I don't think that's a terribly fair grading. I don't think that's a very fair grading system. It's not very good at assessing whether somebody's actually learned anything. Because you could get a lot of good grades on the small assignments, but then when it comes time for the like discussion and whatever, if you fail discussion assignments and you fail the exam, but your homework is good enough to give you a passing grade, did you really pass the class? Like, yeah, you got the number that said you passed the class, but did you really learn anything? You know? Obviously, that's not even getting into the flaws with having grades just be a number, you know? We don't really get grades from homework most often. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's one of the things that I will forever criticize America for as long as we do, is that I don't really like homework as a, especially not as a graded thing when there's like all this pressure in it. Because, you know, especially for kids who are in school all day. Like in college, it makes a little bit more sense because class doesn't last all that long. But when you're in school all day, the last thing you would want is, from a psychological perspective, is for school to follow you home. If you don't do it, you get a 1. In the US, if you don't, like, if you just don't do an assignment, that you get a 0 because you like didn't do it. In fact, there are some teachers that have been like, look, you know, again, I've talked about how sometimes they'll do like the completion thing where it's like, oh, we'll give you a passing grade if you just did it at all, right? Like just doing the assignment, even if you get everything wrong, shows that you cared enough to at least do it. So we'll give you like a passing grade just for that. And I think that's important to encourage people to participate and to think, even if they're like, even if somebody is dumb, they should still be able to pass school if they're putting in the effort. Right? Passing grade here is 4. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with the passing system, but yeah. So, like, in America, that'd be the equivalent of, like, okay, if you did the homework, the lowest grade you can get is a 4. Because you did the homework, right? Or if you did the assignment. Let's say if it's, like, a class assignment or if it's a discussion assignment. The grading systems that I tend to like are the ones that say, hey, look, if you did this assignment, you'll get at least a pass. Like, you would get the equivalent of a 4. We have social hours in USA. I don't know what that is. Is that a language class specific thing? Or what? I didn't get an item. Nope. Okay, then what is it? I might know what it is, but we might call it something different. I'm racing pretty well. Unpaid labor? Oh. For some stuff we do. There are some classes where you get field experience in college, and sometimes in high school there will be this like senior project where you go and like shadow somebody professionally for 2 weeks. Where it's like, oh, this person's doing this job that you're interested in, so why don't you go and like be their intern for a couple of weeks and see what they do, you know? We have that. But not as like a regular fixture in school. You need 20 hours a year? Yeah, no, we don't. We don't do that. There are some specific programs that require that, but in order to graduate, you don't need to do that. It's mostly just for volunteering. Yeah. There are some like advanced education programs in the US and like honors programs that require you do certain volunteering things. Like when I go to the food bank, sometimes there will be some fresh-faced like high school kids there who need to do volunteer stuff in order to be part of this like, I don't know, special society in school or whatever. So that's a thing, but it's not required for everybody. It's just for that group of people participating in events. We don't usually get that many events in school. School in the United States is very It's not great compared to some other places. I would appreciate if they had more child psychologists designing the structure and curriculum of school. You know, the school is kind of just like prison. College is cool, but school isn't. Like for primary and secondary school in America, right? What you do, at least outside of this becomes more and more true the higher up you go in like secondary. For most of primary school, things are pretty lenient. There's a lot of I think there's a lot more creativity and movement and whatever stuff that kids usually like, right? But then especially when you get to middle school and high school, it's you go to school, you go to class, you sit down, you're there for 7 hours out of the day. You're not allowed to get up, you're not allowed to move, you're not allowed to talk to other students a lot of the time, and you just have to do the work that they assign to you. Will suck, man. College, honest to God, when I went to college, it felt like I was on 4 fucking years of summer vacation. Holy shit. It still feels like this is like, hell yeah, I'm on summer vacation. Even though I have work. This is so much better than school. So many events at school, I don't remember not doubling the 20 hours required. There weren't that many events at my school. Like, I think it would have helped if they had anything to do during the hours that we were there. But anything that happened at school was all like weekend stuff and happened after school, and so I didn't want a part of it because I wanted to leave school. I didn't want to be at school. You know? And none of it was required anyway, so I didn't do it anyways. But even apart from that, they had some like after school clubs, but there weren't that many events at school. Not for the kids anyways. Most of it was for the adults and for like the school begging for money that they would inevitably not spend on people's education. You know, our school spent a lot of money on like security and cameras and police. The one like or 2 police officers that there were at the school. They did spend some money on special ed, which is something I appreciate. You know, for little old autistic me. You know. Oh, I see. Ow. I'm dead as fuck. Getting fourth. We have one security guard who lays on a coach all day watching BB. Why police? A couple reasons. First of all, there was the threat of a mass shooting, in which case the school feels like it needs to have a police officer on hand. Second of all, America is a police state, so we use the police for fucking everything, including kids. A lot of times, you know, you'd hear sometimes about people getting put in detention. A lot of times when kids got too rowdy, they wouldn't call a school counselor, they would call the school resource officer, the cop, and the cop would come like, oh, TV. the cop would come, like, drag them out of the class. It's just the fact of the matter is just that the U.S. spends so much money on the cops already, and schools followed suit. They just decided to, like, start spending money on police. We have bomb threats from Russian terrorists here. Yeah, and you guys still just have a security guard. I think that's better than just having a fucking police in a bulletproof vest with a taser and a gun. They had a gun. Although, funnily enough, the one lady who was a police officer at my school was actually a very nice woman. She was actually nicer to me than one of the special ed teachers. You know. But yeah. It especially gave me the impression. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but the fact that there was a police officer in the school gave me the impression that I was not free to leave. You know. That's one of the reasons that I say it felt like a prison. There's a plan to make people swipe their student ID at the door to get in. I think there are some schools. I think my school actually did that at some point after I left. I didn't have to do that when I was there, thank fuck. But yeah, it was legitimately like going to prison for 7 hours out of the day. It's like prison, but for kids. I tell you, man, school was not a fun time. That plan got canceled? Not in where I live, unfortunately. Remember the funny story? Ooh, do tell. Got him. No. I got a million feet in the air. Our school caught on fire. My music teacher didn't let us out until we finished taking notes. Wait, really? That's fucked up. Actually kind of fucked up. God damn, dude. We had two school buildings and the fire was in the other one. Okay. Okay. I mean, that's a little bit less spectacular, but holy shit, that is still... You know, there's a reason that they tell you there's a certain list of things that you're supposed to do during a fire drill. I had to go to the burning building to get my jacket back? Dude, why did you do that? Did they tell... I swear if they fucking told you to do that. That's like actual child endangerment. I still remember how spicy the smoke was. You had to go through smoke. Why did you do that? Dude. Oh, well. Not like we don't all make dumb decisions. I didn't want to leave my jacket? Okay, dumb decision. Siberian Chateau. I like this track. Forced all my friends to go with me too. Bro, that's not good. Well, let me just get rid of that. What? That hit him? I didn't intend for that to hit him. I think the fire was already gone by the time I went for the jacket, just a shit ton of smoke. Okay. Well, still, even going into a building where there's smoke can be dangerous. Or at least, like, not great, you know? Oh, I got hit by the thwomp. Dang. You hate to see it. Oh, wow. Nice throw, Sanic. No! Me growing big threw off my timing for the drift. You love the Russian terrorist that caused the fire? Yeah, I guess he got you out of class for the day. Oh shit, dude, I'm getting blown up by everything. Alright. Need an item. Yes, perfect. Oh, baby. Oh, the fire wasn't caused by the terrorists? You just love Russian terrorists? That... Oh, we went outside during the bomb threat and had a fun lesson outside. Oh, that's cool. Outside lessons are fun. Alright. There was one other thing. I'm going to reassert control over the pace of this stream. There's one other thing that I wanted to mention. There's one thing I wanted to talk about, rather. Oh, caused by an electrical panel. Okay. So, there's some discourse happening on Twitter, which I usually don't partake in super heavily. Like, Twitter is where I just go to ironic, detached shitpost, whatever. X is cancer. Yeah, it is. It really is. J.K. Rowling has been going increasingly off the deep end, right? And she is, she was, and still is to a degree, the queen of the TERFs. Like, and I mean that in the truest sense, that she is the most respected person in that circle, and she is the most true form of that, where she uses feminism and feminist aesthetics to argue against trans people by way of misandry and trans misogyny, arguing that trans women are actually men and stuff like that, and that they're a myth, they don't exist, whatever. And recently, this reached a new pitch, to such a degree that she actually said that, like, she started doing Holocaust revisionism. I'll skip straight to the point. J.K. Rowling was I think she goes in, like, name searches on Twitter because she's that fucking kind of person, right? And she found one. She found one that was like mentioning that trans people were among the first targeted in the Holocaust, which is true. There's the infamous photo and video of a Nazi book burning is of the Nazi Institute for, like, the study of sex and stuff like that, and they were studying transgender people. They were studying the phenomenon of transness in society, and there was a bunch of literature there about trans people. The Nazis didn't like that because they thought trans people were all degenerates and the gay men and whatever, so they burned it. And J.K. Rowling was like, nuh-uh, basically. No, they didn't do that. Which is a Holocaust revisionist position, because it is revising, after the fact, things that happened during the Holocaust, or at least the lead up to it. You know? And this is like the Nazgul vortex, it seems, is closing. This is the necessary endpoint when you make feminism only about what you believe a woman to be, and when you necessarily exclude everybody that doesn't fit that definition of woman. It's basically just fascism with feminist aesthetics. And she got clowned on. I don't think that there were any, like, holdout liberals still supporting her and whatever. But if there were, I think this is, sounded the death knell for that. And, for me, it's just one more thing to reaffirm how disingenuous TERFs are. And sort of, it's gratifying to see that TERFs, like, there's been this split from the genuine feminist movement, which has moved more towards the debate about abortion and protecting trans people, thankfully enough. And then the people that call themselves feminists but are really just interested in arguing that trans women aren't women or something like that. It's like the facade of it being like a genuine split in the movement has kind of dropped, and realize that these are just boilerplate reactionaries. Yeah, TERFs. Things are not great over in TERF Island. Really seems like J.K. Rowling has kind of not fallen from grace, because that happened a while ago, but even, like, fallen from relevance. I don't see that many people. Like, she's very relevant still in the UK, but her cultural impact has been kind of contained to the UK. If that makes sense. Oh, nice try. No, goddammit. He was holding that, huh? I hope somebody gets a blue shell. It's the only way I win this race, I think. Could do that also. We'll see if this does anything. I doubt it will, but just in case. Mushroom. I don't know if that's really going to do anything for me, but we'll see. Technical wins. Let's send this now. See what's going on there. Ah, blue shell. That's good for me. Shotgun, just cause. Me item? Yeah, well. I gave it a good shot. For the memes! I almost made that. That was cool. Got a little bit more time for stuff. This about 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes. Let's see what there was something else. Well. Oh yeah. Everybody knows that I love Chicago. Everybody knows that my dad loves Chicago. That is because Chicago is cool. Brandon Johnson is the mayor. He's a progressive. Progressives are cool. Therefore, he is cool. He's been doing some progressive policies and stuff. That's been nice. One of those progressive policies involves ending homelessness. There was a ballot initiative put on the ballot in Chicago recently to raise property taxes on the rich, or like property sales taxes or something like that, to address the issue of homelessness in the area, right? Because there's like tens of thousands of homeless people in Chicago, even though all of them aren't classified as homeless because they technically might have somewhere to sleep at night. They might be like crashing at a friend's place or any number of things. You know. Love how that is a progressive policy. Yeah, I mean, progressives want to solve homelessness and conservatives want to kill homeless people. It's a pretty simple divide. You know. And there's been considerable pushback from corporate landlords and corporate like property developers, real estate property developers, and that sort of thing in the area. But you know, their opposition doesn't mean much in the face of the popular vote at the end of the day if it gets the votes it needs to. It's like the tax would be used specifically for building more affordable housing, which is cool, I think. And it would be like I don't know if it would be Section 8 specifically, but it would be, it would not be like market rate or whatever. It would be, in some way, it would be like kind of rent controlled and stuff. Got a mushroom. Alright, that works out. Oof. How'd that guy get in front of me? Huh. Best item. Let's go. Oh, your shoulder's back to funky, huh? Oh, great. This would be huge if it were to be a thing. If it were to become official, this progressive policy. The current thing is that every time a home is sold, there's a one-time flat tax of 0.75%. But what the city proposed was that actually we cut this tax on properties that are worth less than $1 million, so people buying like regular homes don't have to pay that much more. And I mean, look, 0.75% is already not that much. But then for properties above $1 million, it would be 2% tax. And then on properties above $1.5 million, it would be a 3% tax. That's a ton of fucking money on properties being bought and sold in Chicago, big city. And that's not just residential properties either. That means all like real estate stuff. So that means offices and like fucking space leased out of other buildings and things like that. All of those things that would fall under real estate. If something gets sold there and it's worth more than $1 million, you're getting taxed at least 2%. 2% of that money goes to the government. And they're going to use that money to build government housing projects for people who don't have housing. And they're going to do this, what's called a housing first approach, which means that they're just going to give people those houses for free, if necessary, who really need housing. And they're going to say, but if you take this house, we need you to start looking for these jobs. You know, we'll hook you up with some connections, whatever, but we want you to become a productive member of society. So we'll give you the house, and then you go out and get a job. And if you can show us that you have a job and you make good money, or not even good money necessarily, but you're making some money, you know, and you intend to keep doing that, then you can keep the house. And you know, you don't have to pay like out the fucking nose for it. This is the approach I think that Finland takes currently. Finland, another country that is famous for housing policy. It's famous for good reasons, though. The U.S. is not. That'd be awesome, actually. The U.S. did that. Still have not gotten an item this race. Now I got an item. Well, I screwed over a couple people. And that was just with one item. That turn was so clean. Ooh. Alright, I gotta be careful about where I put this banana. I actually drove so good that race. No! Oh, right at the end. Damn it. I front ran that whole race, and then one mistake sent me straight to last. Damn. Alright, this will be the last race coming up. See, are there any details on how much money specifically this would give the local government? Doesn't seem like it. Oh yeah, I love the little detail about they actually mentioned the mom and pop landlords. Now, obviously, as a class of people, I don't have any particular love for landlords. This is not exactly a secret, but there is still a very small middle class sort of landlord who will only own like the one building that they themselves live in, and they're not great, but like still not even nearly as bad as like the corporate types that will just own buildings from afar and raise the rents basically if they feel like it. Usually mom and pop landlords don't like to raise rent if they don't have to, because it's like they're people and they're like, well, I don't really need to get so much more money than this, so why would I, right? And they had some older folks who had been landlords of this one particular building for a much longer, for a very long time, several decades. They said, like, yeah, we've lived in this building our whole lives, and we support this reform because it would make it easier for people to get housing. Idiot. So it's really the only people that oppose this reform that's going through are the big real estate developers. Like, that's it. No, what the f- Farmer rents her land to grow out his crops? Yeah. Okay, I gotcha, I gotcha. Damn it. No, what the fuck? Lame. This is a much goofier race than last time. I actually want to do one more because I'm not satisfied with how I drove that last that race. The most underprivileged class in society is billionaire landlords. True, and that means we should oppress them harder. As per the conservative logic, conservatives love to do that. We should just appeal to conservatives by saying that billionaires are victims and that they are like the true oppressed class of society. That way, they'll like instantly say, no, actually, we hate landlords. Fuck them. Not really. Even conservatives in America are not sold on that notion. Like, conservatives in America fucking despise landlords and like corpo billionaires. They're just really, really dumb and susceptible to have that sentiment just redirected towards, I don't know, Mexicans. Everyone hates them? Oh yeah, everyone hates them. Fucking Adam Smith even hates them. John Capitalism himself hates landlords. They just think it's the Jews. Yeah, and with the average conservative, they don't actively think that, but they are like primed by like conservative media and whatever to lead to that conclusion. It's kind of like what I was saying with populism, that like you just need the left to do populism, because populism is very effective at pulling at those heartstrings, but then directing them to the correct source of their problems. The global homo? True. But that's me, though, so actually it's not. It's the globo hetero, actually. I'm gonna probably use this golden at the end of lap 1. Like, once I round this corner. I'll start using it here, right? Right at this shortcut. And hopefully it takes me to the other shortcut. The one up here. Yeah. That was good golden, I think. Ah, I see. Ah, POW block. All right, I'm a lot more satisfied with how I raced that time than last time. Even though I only got third, which is like the middle spot. Yeah. Way smarter decision making by me that time. In fact, I think I was probably the smartest racer in the room that race. I was able to outmaneuver the guy that decided to slow down in a mega to try to hit me. I 2 for 3. I got the shortcut correct 2 out of 3 times. I figured out how you're supposed to do that. Smartest racist, you mean? Yes, that's right. Sorry, I misspoke. I meant I'm the smartest racist in that room. Yeah. I used that golden mushroom at exactly the right spot. That's, I think, the optimal spot to use that golden mushroom. Right on that last turn, because then that takes you through the other shortcut. Really good spot to use a golden mushroom, even though there are a lot of good spots to use golden mushrooms on that track. And then I think that POW could have been a little bit better placed. Ultimately, if I didn't pull that fake item box, I would have won, I think. Sometimes it just gets down to bad luck. Anyways. I am going to raid somebody. Yeah, Cody Schwab is... What is he doing? Alright, never mind. My man's is building a computer chair. Go off, King, but I don't know. I don't know if people want to see that. Alright, we're raiding Shark. That's what we're doing. Raid Shark 300. Wait. Right? Yeah. 30. Here. Yes. Channel is intended for mature audience. What are you guys gonna? I'll see you guys next time. I don't know when that is. Depends on how tired or not I am on Friday. So, bye.